Evening, folks. Thanks for coming in. Hope you're all safe and well and enjoying the sunshine. It was like 18 degrees in Scotland today. I was out with the shorts on for the first time this year. The chicken legs were out, and I don't apologise to anybody. I wasn't caring. But tonight, I'm joined for the first time by this lovely lady, Hannah Richards, who is an historian, she's a writer, paranormal investigator, and she's also a bit of a singer, or as we say in Scotland, a chanter.
Evening, everyone.
It's good to finally get you on. I know we've been trying to get you on for a while, but you're a busy lady.
Yeah, so sorry about the delay, Scott. I have been meaning to come on and talk to you for a while.
Oh, no, it's fine. We're always here. Evening, Lynn. That's my Tiami. That's my daughter. She's in the next room.
Oh, lovely.
Listening in. I've been trying to get you on for a while, but see, life gets in the way. Do you know what I mean? It happens to a lot of people.
It really does. It really does, especially when you work full time and then you've got so many other interests and other things that pull you in so many different directions. It can really take up your time, and it flies, doesn't it, when you're having fun?
It does. There's the Eileen from Phantom Seekers Paranormal. Eileen's from the Edinburgh. Just we were talking backstage about Edinburgh having a funny accent. Eileen's for the Edinburgh area. Lovely lady. Just we had the pleasure of meeting up with her a few times. But she's got a funny accent. But no, I know what you mean, Hannah. I mean, I had Matt Barron on a couple of nights back, and Matt used to come on regular, but we discovered that it's been 2 years since he came on.
Wow. There you go, you see.
Where's the time out? Hey, Rob, buddy, thanks for coming in. And I said, it's not been 2 years. So I checked back when he was on the show. I said, no, you're right. It's 2 years since he was on, Good evening. Glad you don't look like a smurf anymore. And I will to our lovely new guest, Hannah. It's Laura. She's one of ours, and she's one of my besties. Well, she's my bestie. But
lovely. Nice to meet everyone.
She looked like a smurf anymore. We spent the day, Laura included, painting the bedroom blue.
Oh, really?
Well, there's one wall black kind of wallpaper, and the rest is navy blue. So my wife Sarah, Laura, myself, and a wee daughter, she lended a hand as well. We spent the day painting blue. So Laura decided to have a big blue handprint. As you can see, I'm not gifted with hair. So there's a big handprint there, but Laura was covered. We were all covered. But I think I've managed to get most of it off. I think, Eileen.
You're putting me to shame. Putting me to shame. I've got so much decorating I need to get done and just haven't got around to doing it yet. So well done on the motivation there.
Well, it was actually the wife that motivated me. So,
well, there you go.
There's Lola in as well. No, we're in a new build. It's not a new build anymore. It was about 2.5 years ago we moved in here. And so, I don't know what it's like down your end, but you're not allowed to decorate for the first year, basically. There's a wife. The wife's finally showed up. Again, in the next room, but they're playing some kind of game. So, about 1.5 years ago, we were wanting to decorate, and that's how she's getting round to it. So that's the first room done,
Excellent. Yeah, I got a new build about 10 years ago now, so I'm on round 2 of redecorating in this place.
I want to decorate, but you kind of because it's all white. The whole house was whitewashed, when we moved in. So
yeah,
and it's a bungalow, but it's quite a big bungalow. Our hall's about 10 mile long. Laura will tell you, she was saying in Miami, our hall's about 10 mile long. It's seriously, it's like our house is like a TARDIS. Mine Doctor Who.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, no, my mum lives in a bungalow, and they do have massive hallways, don't they? It's like an extra room.
Way too long, but that's the first room done. So we'll move on to the next room round about, maybe August or something like that,
it's just a cycle. Once you've done one, they all need doing. And then
It's,
before you know it, you're back to the start again, Scott. That's what happens when you've got a house,
it's,
isn't it?
and there's a saying up here, it's with the Forth Road Bridge. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
No.
The Forth Road Bridge goes from Edinburgh side to Fife, and it's constantly getting painted. And basically, what they do is they start at one end, finish at the other, then get back
Right.
and start. But it takes well, I don't know, months. Eileen Bailey tells me says that's her kind of part of the country. But as I was saying, it's like taking the Forth Road Bridge. It's just constant round and round, Getting started is the key, and don't sit down. You can't do that, Eileen. You need to, you need to take that wee break. If you're wallpaper, put one strip up, then take a break.
I can't not sit down for tea, Eileen. I can't, because I've even got my tea here with me tonight. Total tea addict, me.
Oh, Laura's a tea addict. I'm a coffee man. She likes her
really?
coffee in the morning. I like it. I used to drink tea, but no, I don't know. I very, very, very rarely have a cup of tea. But Laura, she does like the odd cuppa, shall we say. Anyway, see, we're not even 10 minutes in. We're probably decorating and tea and stuff like that. As you probably guessed, Hannah, our shows, you can talk paranormal sometimes, but other times it's about the weather or jet skiing or, whatever takes us. But tell us a bit about yourself. You say you're a historian, writer, investigator, and you're also part of, I'm going to get this wrong, Betsy, HBI.
I am, yes, Haunted Britain
Get it right?
Investigations. You did, well done.
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, I've loved the paranormal for as long as I can remember, really. Ever since I was little, I grew up with family stories, and literally on the doorstep of an old ruined priory called Grey's Dew that I was always fascinated with, and that's really what sparked my interest from a very, very young age. And I started properly investigating in around 2006. So it's my 20th year this year of doing investigating, joining HBI back in 2014. So I've been with that team for 12 years now. So yeah, it's definitely a massive, massive passion of mine. Recently written a couple of books, got another couple that are going to be published later on this year, and some ideas for future books as well for the following years. So it's something that really keeps me busy. I absolutely love it. I'm so fascinated by it. So it does take up a lot of my time, my spare time, because I do have a full-time job as well. But yeah, it's a massive passion of mine.
You fit the paranormal in where you can, but it is a passion. I know there's a lot of people out there. That paper just fell out my drawer. I've got a wee drawer on my desk. See, there's a wee drawer, and it keeps falling out.
Is that a mystery drawer? Is it, Scott?
Sorry,
I'm wondering what's in that drawer now. I'm wondering what you keep in there.
I'll show you. There's a bit of paper.
Just a load of paper.
Cloth.
It's like an unboxing.
You see them on TikTok, the big reveal, what's in the box.
Yeah, that's it. It always takes them about half an hour to open the box as well. That's generally the idea.
That was part of Hagrid's house, for Harry Potter, but we have a lovely little Jack Russell who's got a passion for our Lego collection. He sort of put that in.
Little rascal.
I've got a sweetie.
Oh, there you go. You see, you never know what you're going to find, do you?
I know it's what you find in the last cream egg at the back of the cupboard.
Or even better if it's a white one. If it's a white chocolate cream egg, then you're winning.
I'm not a fan of the white chocolate, but I do enjoy a good cream egg. What's Laura saying? Oh, you could be someone. Well, you could be someone I could get info from. I write most of PIH stories. I've been told I'm good. How do I go about getting published? There you go. You can maybe, it's with the Queen's handbag. Well, I suppose it is, but it's my drawer. Nobody else's. It's mine.
Like Mary Poppins bag, that is. Absolutely. I actually publish myself, so just through Amazon. which I thought was the easiest route to go down and the quickest, and you also have more rights. So I would strongly recommend going down that route, to be honest. But feel free to get in touch with me and we can have a chat about it.
There you go, Laura dear. White chocolate bear, that's Craig. He's one of ours as well. He's Laura's other half as well. No,
Yeah,
Laura
I
does
agree
most of
with
her
Craig.
stories. Sorry, though.
I agree with Craig on that. The white chocolate is better. It's I think it's got more of the milk in it as well, so probably a bit more like the original recipe.
No, I'll stick to the I was going to say the brown chocolate, the milk chocolate. But I do. Sarah gave me a white chocolate Easter egg, so that will get scoffed at some point. So you're
Very
probably
nice.
hearing from Laura Hannah at some point. See, we're
No
off the
problem. That's
paranormal
lovely.
subject again.
I know. We keep going off on these tangents. We can't help it, can we?
No, I enjoy it, but because I mean, I know you probably watch a lot of podcasts and they're very serious and very
Yes.
down to earth and that, Hannah, and you think, no, that's just too boring for me.
Yeah, it can be a
Whereas
bit boring sometimes.
you get another podcast where people talk paranormal, then talk crap, mix it in. I think mixes it up. Eileen's asking, what kind of locations do you investigate?
Good question. Everywhere really. So all over the UK. So I've even investigated in Scotland. So up in Edinburgh, I've done the vaults, Southbridge vaults, all the way down to places in Cornwall like Bodmin Jail. So prisons, castles, all the stereotypically haunted places. But then I also do private dwellings, private cases. I like to go and investigate places that no one else has investigated as well. So there's a couple of venues that I go and investigate locally just to carry out some research and experiment with some of the old school simple methods that I don't always get to experiment with in HPI as well. So lots of different locations, churches. I tend to not go and investigate in cemeteries and graveyards too much. That's not really my thing. And I don't do abandoned houses. There's some dangers that are associated with that I personally don't want to take those risks. So I tend to do private bookings, investigate places when we've got the place to ourselves after closing, really. So that's the kind of place that I like to go and investigate, but somewhere that's steeped in a lot of history as well, because that's what I really like to get my teeth into, somewhere that's got some paranormal claims and they can be backed up by verifiable accounts and the history as well.
Aye, exactly. I would say private home this can be problematic if you don't tell the owners what they want to hear. Have I've spoken to a few people that they've done private homes and stuff, and they've told the owner, basically, well, there's nothing here. We're not picking up anything, and the owners threw a big strop. You ever had that kind of problem?
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem, isn't it? You're always going to encounter people who are upset when you don't, sorry about my cat, when you don't blindly agree that something is paranormal. But I always try to be as respectful as possible. Ultimately, if someone's had an experience, then, I'm not there to try and poo-poo that experience or tell them that they're lying. I'm there to try and look for rational explanations for something and debunk something where I can. But ultimately, I'm not going to feed into someone's narrative. So yes, I have had a couple of occasions like that, but we've managed to work through it respectfully. And ultimately, I've been invited back as well for a second investigation because they said, well, if nothing happened on the first, you should come back again and see if something happens on the second. Admittedly, I haven't been back for the second. There are reasons I probably shouldn't discuss on on a podcast as to why I've not gone back to this particular house. But yeah, quite a few of them I have gone back for a second or even a third investigation, because I do feel that sometimes it's worth going back for more than one investigation. If someone's living this day in, day out, it's not going to sometimes just automatically play on demand for you when you're in there for 6 or 7 hours or for just an evening. You need to go and immerse yourself in it a little bit more. So I do like to go and investigate somewhere multiple times before I even have that conversation with someone that, you know, I can't find anything, it's not haunted. I really like to put the time in and the effort to make sure that what I'm saying is correct and not destroy anyone's reality ultimately.
No, you're 100% spot on. You know, I totally agree because you're, excuse me. I mean, we've all done investigations where we don't get any evidence. Spirits don't want to play ball. You know, there might be there might be nobody there, but as you say, you hit in the head when you said, at somebody's home, they might live this 7 days a week.
That's
You
right.
know, and
Yeah,
they're looking for some kind of reassurance, some kind of help, whatever. And you might go on a Monday night and the spirits for that, I don't know you, so I'm not going to talk to you. I'm just going to sit at the stairs and watch you, you know,
precisely. Or they
and
might be trying to trick you into thinking there's nothing
I'm not
here.
here,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
go away. So I think it's a good idea to go back, as often as possible, or as often, as you can, just to
Yeah,
see if you get, something different each time. Then you can maybe say, right, okay, we've been here 5 times, we've picked up A, B, and C. Would you make it? And I think it's good because I think it helps the homeowner, whoever it is that's living there. It gives them that wee bit of reinsurance that there is somebody that cares.
absolutely. I mean, I'm not in it for views. I'm not in it for clicks. I'm there to genuinely try and get to the bottom of something, why something is
Mm-hmm.
happening, and help someone if they need that help. You know, I think this is a problem with a lot of, probably one famous paranormal show. I won't name it now, but I think they go in, do an investigation once, and then leave people with no aftercare whatsoever. Maybe even stir things up or ham things up and make things out to be
Mm-hmm.
more dangerous or scary than they are. And then don't give that family or those people any aftercare whatsoever afterwards. Don't go back for a second time. Don't help at all. Um, and I think that's terrible. That's definitely not what I'm about. So if someone needs my help, then I'm going to put the time in. I don't charge anything either. I do it all for free, because it's just something that I want to do. I want to help people. I want to research the paranormal. I think we're all trying to ultimately work towards the same goal, aren't we? If we're a paranormal researcher or investigator, we're all trying to find that little bit of proof, not to ram
That's
it
it.
down people's throats, but just for yourself really, and to know and to help further the field a bit.
I no, exactly. Exactly. You have to be diplomatic and reassuring. Don't be melodramatic. Um, but I mean, what you're saying about the after, we don't do private investigations, houses, whatever. We never have. It's not of anything against it. It's just never done it.
Yeah,
But I mean, you could get some kind of elderly lady or something, and you get some team go in and say, oh, there's Dick Turpin's here or whatever, and they just go away. You're leaving you're leaving that lady. I'm just using a lady as an example. You're leaving that lady sitting there, she's back alone, and she's got all this going through her head with this team because she trusts them, obviously,
that's
you
right.
know, and you don't know what kind of frame of mind that could put that lady into, or whoever it is. Um, so I think aftercare would be as a good thing. You see, right, we came in Monday, we'll come back on Wednesday, Thursday, and see you, and we can have a chat. We might not investigate, but we could
Absolutely.
sit down,
Yeah,
have a cup of coffee, cup of tea, in your case, Hannah, um, and just chat about, what we found and what your experience. And as I say, let's say know that you care and that because as you say, you're not in it for views and clicks, but there's, yourself, there's loads of folk out there that are just solely focused on, you know, how many followers can I get? How many views can I get? I want to make
yeah,
money, and that's not what we're about. Sometimes seeds are sown by badly informed sources that can cause alarm and fear. You know, um,
absolutely. And I've seen that happen. So there was a particular case that I looked into a while back over in Braunston in Leicester. which is not far from me, and it had been all over the news. A lady had been experiencing some violent poltergeist type behaviour in her house, and it had been going on for several years. Several journalists had been in, several investigators, and one of the investigators had told her that her house was haunted by the spirit of Jack the Ripper.
Right.
Now, I'm not quite sure what the spirit of Jack the Ripper would be doing in a house in Braunston. But I just thought, this is what feeds into people's fear. Why would you say something like that to a lady who lives on her own? I don't quite understand it. It's certainly not something that I would say, especially when it's not true. So you do encounter things like that, and you have to try and talk people down from the ceiling sometimes because of what mediums or other people have gone in and said that really does stir the pot, and it upsets people. So you have to try and bring them back down to earth and say, there's no evidence of this, and try and give them some reassurance. But there's all sorts of things that play into it, isn't there? Especially when you're doing private dwellings, things like mental health as well comes into play. So this is something that I always think about as well when I'm investigating, is what resources I've got available to me as well, where I can signpost people to if I think someone maybe needs a little bit more support, that sort of thing. And it's such a delicate topic to approach, but when it comes to the paranormal one, it's quite an important one to talk about as well.
Do you Eileen, saying usually offer help for money, which is true? Do you think it's beneficial before you do the first investigation? You don't see somebody calls you up and say, right, there's stuff happening in my home. Can you come and help me? Whatever. Before you do the investigation, do you think it's beneficial just to go and visit the person?
Absolutely.
And get the lay of the land, basically.
100%. Talk to them on the phone, talk to them about their family, talk to them about who's lived there, what's happened, get to know them a little bit. Really have those conversations, because that can give you a lot of information before you even start.
I think it is better just to get to know them and then say, right, we'll come back next week and we'll do the investigation and see what happens. There's so many people popping up, especially on TikTok, who have been in the paranormal for weeks and now class themselves as experts. These experts using Ouija boards and sacred ground, seeing apparitions left, right and centre. How do you feel about these people and what they are doing?
It's so frustrating. I mean, I recently did a TikTok video more or less about this very thing, which is people faking paranormal investigations, or, people pretending that they're paranormal experts, especially if they've only really been in the field for a matter of months or years. There's no such thing as a paranormal expert. We're all learning every single day. We can't possibly know everything that there is to know about the paranormal. Everyone chooses to investigate in different ways. So if they do want to go and use a Ouija board, that's absolutely fine. They just need to be very wary, I think, of any kind of communication with the other side, and be respectful of who they're communicating with as well. That's the other thing that I see on a lot of these YouTube channels, especially younger people getting into the field these days. Very disrespectful towards the spirits, demanding things left, right and centre, swearing. I think they forget that the spirits were once people too. They were once alive and had personalities and had families. If someone come bursting into my living room and started shouting and swearing at me, I certainly wouldn't be engaging back with them. I'd be hiding or probably matching their energy. So yeah, that's what I think to that. Not brilliant, to be honest.
No, 2000% agree. Laura's referred to just quick story short. Quick story short doesn't make any sense. Long story short, whatever it is. Long story short, whatever. I can't remember that saying. Long story short, I don't know. Laura probably, or Eileen will probably.
Cut a long story short.
That's it. To cut a long story short, there's an individual on TikTok, only started about 2 months ago, something like that. But he's out to make this his business and what have you. There's a place that we've been investigating for about 4 years now. Eileen knows as well. It's called Loudon Kirk, and Sarah and I get married there in the crypt there at Halloween.
Wow.
So it's quite a special place to us, but it's a peaceful place. We've never encountered anything negative. We've been told to F off, and Sarah's been called a couple of names, but that's it. But a few weeks back, this guy went in with this wee bunch of people, and they were using a Ouija board to offload a negative spirit that was in this girl's house. And we're literally 10 minutes. So Laura and I went down. It's not that we own the place or anything, but we just found it totally disrespectful.
It is.
So, long story short, we went in and had words with the guy. He backed down. But there's another guy there, and I was talking to him about George Mackenzie. One of the guys says to
Mackenzie
me,
poltergeist, yeah.
they would say, oh, what about the Mackenzie? So we were talking about, there was a girl standing behind me. The very next day, this individual was on TikTok with this girl saying that Sir George Mackenzie was in her house in Kilmarnock.
Wow.
And we don't have any contact with him anymore. But we're sitting there just watching it, thinking, George Mackenzie's came from Edinburgh, he's went to Loudon, and then he's came to a random house in Kilmarnock. It's like the Jack the Ripper kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah.
People were believing this, and you're just making a mockery of the whole thing.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I've noticed as well is that because they're trying to get views and clicks, they're focusing very much on the darker side of the paranormal. So demonic entities, satanic rituals, everyone's getting possessed every 5 minutes on some of these so-called investigations. And it's just absolutely ridiculous, isn't it, really? Another thing is, you know as well as I do, when you go on an investigation, sometimes you can be sat there for a whole night and nothing will happen, nothing at all. But suddenly on some of these investigation videos that you watch, there's something happening every 5-10 seconds.
There were actually a couple of comments I put them up. They were actually live earlier on in this other girl's house, and one of the guys with a K2 meter, and it was going up to red, but they were in a house with all the lights on, they had a speaker on, the phone was right beside the K2, and they were hearing noises and getting touched and stuff, but it was all off camera.
Yeah.
So you hear somebody in the background saying, oh, I've just been touched, I've just been scratched. Like, put everybody in the frame and then see if anything happened, but never happened.
Absolutely. And it's not always possible when you're on an investigation to get that one piece of gold where everyone's in the frame and everyone's accountable for. That's not always how it works, is it? But ultimately, when things are happening every 5-10 seconds, really? Is it really?
This house was, it was crazy stuff. And this house, everybody was there. I'm surprised George Mackenzie didn't pop up as well.
You do see a lot of that on TikTok, though, don't you? A lot of people claiming that their house is haunted and that they're pre-recording things and then masking things and using certain techniques, video editing techniques, to produce activity. And it's really frustrating. And AI as well, that's one of the scariest things to me, is how on earth are researchers or paranormal investigators now supposed to prove anything paranormal? Because even if we get the Queen Mother herself walking out of Buckingham Palace, full body apparition, nobody's going to believe that isn't AI. So that's another thing that we're fighting against in the paranormal field as well. So the people who are faking it, the people who are producing these ridiculous pieces of evidence that aren't really pieces of evidence, it's not helping the field at all. There's one channel as well, one guy, he claims his house is haunted by a spirit of the spirit of Vlad the Impaler. I just think, wow.
It's always somebody. I'll go stay comments up in a minute. But do you not find it's always somebody famous?
Yes.
You know, in history, whether it's Henry VIII, Vlad the Impaler, Jack the Ripper, George McKenzie. It's never, like Robert the Baker or George the Binman.
Yeah, or Dorothy from next door. No, it's never anyone like that. Always a famous celebrity spirit.
Anne Boleyn haunts my upper bedroom and stuff.
It's ridiculous.
How do you know it's Anne Boleyn? You stay in Inverness. Why would Anne Boleyn be in Inverness? It's always somebody famous.
Yes.
Never any of us ordinary people.
No, hardly ever that you will hear that.
Because that's what these famous people do. I mean, there's one guy in America. He goes in the huff quite a lot. I don't know if you click on to who I'm talking about.
Not yet. There's quite a few, isn't there?
Well, as soon as a famous celeb dies, like Queen Elizabeth, she passed away a couple of years ago. I think it was the next day he was doing a video saying that he contacted her.
On the spirit box, yeah.
Do you know who I'm talking about now?
I do.
And he said, Prince Philip, he said Elvis, he said Michael Jackson, he said Lisa Marie Presley and Elvis as well. They came together to visit, and it's just every time even the victims of that submarine disaster, it had them, the document to see them and tell them what happened. And it's people like this. Eileen named him, not me, so I'm not liable for any lawsuits because I know he's quite fond of threatening people with different lawsuits. But it's people like that. And this guy's got thousands and thousands of followers.
Yeah, that's right. And
it's
ridiculous. As if, these spirits, if they were going to come back and talk to anyone, they'd be talking to their loved ones, people that meant the most to them, not some random person who's got a spirit box on to record it for YouTube. It's just very disrespectful, isn't it? And some of these sessions are within hours sometimes of it being announced that someone's died as well.
Aye, it's like
it's absolutely disgusting for the families, in my opinion. That's not what you want to be dealing with within hours or days of losing your loved one. Is someone pretending that they've had a conversation with that lost loved one?
Some banana in America, because that's what Queen Elizabeth is. She passed away, God bless her, but she left Balmoral and she went straight to America. I'm going to go and see Huff, before I get back to Britain. And how can people believe this? I better put these comments up. I was saying, what a load of poo. So much nonsense talk about Grace Raz and Mackenzie Pogues. That's where that woman who George went and visited for a cup of tea, or maybe she's bored with Edinburgh. One thing I've encountered recently is the paranormal religion don't go. How do you feel about religion and the paranormal?
Oh, we're getting deep with the questions now. Okay, so, I'm not a religious person. I would say that I'm spiritual. So I grew up in the Catholic faith. I actually went to a convent school and was taught by nuns. But religion hasn't stuck with me. I do think there are a lot of crossovers with belief and some things that are supposedly paranormal. One thing that I've been exploring a lot recently is when it comes to Ouija boards, how much belief and religion can play into the user's experience. And I do think that it has quite a significant impact on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think if you go in believing that you're going to be opening a door, then that's probably what's going to happen, and you're going to think that something's come through it as well. So yes, I do think that belief, religion does play a huge part in some people's experiences, and there is that little bit of crossover there.
Sorry for the question, Loris, we missed that.
No, it's a good question.
To be fair, video games are not you, but animals interacted with me long before, 'and Scottish Daughters Wittgenstein's in my home. I mean, That is true. Laura's got videos circling on in their house
Yeah,
with animals. It's their past, but she's got their ashes in urns.
yeah,
Uh, but when you think about animals, they've got souls as well. So obviously they've got
absolutely.
to go somewhere.
Absolutely. I
Their
fully
house.
believe that animals can come back as well. I mean, I've encountered on several investigations dogs barking when there are no dogs because I'm in the middle of the
Mm-hmm.
moors at 3 a.m. and there's no one for miles. We've heard cats meowing when we've looked on outside cameras and there's no cats outside, no sounds recorded outside, only inside the building, and there's no cats in the building. So yes, horses as well. I think that's one of the popular sightings, isn't it? But one thing that I have noticed that is that I never hear anyone saying that they've seen a ghostly cow or a ghostly pig, or maybe it's just that we're not noticing them. I don't know, but I think domestic pets definitely. There's been some evidence of those types of hauntings.
I mean, domestic pets. I don't see I have a spirit cat. I mean, you think everybody's got a. That's the basis of my book.
Sounds like an
Laura's
interesting book. Yep.
doing a book on it. But I mean, with pets, we've got two cats and a wee Jack Russell who's a wee demon, basically. Laura will tell you. But when you're not there, they do miss you. So it shows that animals have feelings as well, and when they pass, obviously they'll miss their owners or their person, whoever it was. So there's no reason why they can't come back and sit beside you on the
Absolutely.
couch or something. You know, I know a lot of people
Absolutely.
might think you're talking rubbish, but who's to say?
No, I do think that they do come back and visit their owners 100%. I mean, one of my friends, she had a dog that passed away when he was quite young. He was only a couple of years old when he passed away. And she did get another dog about a year later. And one evening, the new dog was growling at something under the bed in her bedroom. And she
Mm-hmm.
realised that that's where her dog had actually passed away. He went under the bed to pass away. And we think that maybe that the spirit of her previous dog came back, and that's what her new dog was sensing lying under the bed. So I fully do believe that animals come back to us in spirit. I mean, I've got 7 cats now, and I'm hoping that they all come back and visit me when they all
Certainly.
sadly go over the Rainbow Bridge. I can't even bear to think of that, but I hope they do come back and visit me and stay with me.
How do you cope with 7 cats? We've got two and a Jack Russell, and they can be hard workers at best of times, especially at feeding times. Oh, it's it's me to feed. I've got a routine, and sometimes it's murder. How do you cope with 7?
Well, I've got 5 Persians and then 2 are elderly cats. So one's 14, one's 16. And the 5 Persians, all they do is sleep all day, Scott. That's pretty much all they do. Feeding time's pretty easy, to
Or,
be honest. I
or,
just feed them when they want feeding, bless them. So
we,
I work from home, so I'm here a lot of the time as well.
I feed the Jack Russell in the kitchen. We've got a wet room as well, so I feed the 2 cats in there. But our boy cat, he always knows when it's the dog's feeding time, and he'll sniff about the dog bowl. So you've got to lift him, feed the dog, then come out and shut the door, take him into the wet room, feed him, shut the door. By the time we've done that, the dog's finished and he's at the wet room door, wanting to get in to get to the other bowl. And you think, seriously, would you just leave well alone? I mean, the
Oh my
thing, I
goodness.
was thinking these other comments that we said, just when you talk about, spirit animals coming back to visit their owners, during investigations, a question no doubt you've asked as well, Hannah, is are you aware you passed on? We all know that maybe some people aren't aware. So maybe is it a case that the pets that come back aren't they don't know they've passed on? As far as they're concerned, they're at home with their owner.
Absolutely. That may well be the case. And the other thing that we have to think about as well is that it could well be a residual haunting of that pet, depending on how long you've lived in that house with that particular animal. if they were there all the time, like all 7 of my cats are, because they don't go out, then they could be leaving an imprint on that building just as well as anyone else could. So you may well get a residual pet haunting as well as an intelligent one.
That's true, because you get, human residual hauntings. So who's to say animals aren't the same? I think my spirit cat is a wee further. They used to visit me often. I've seen it a few times and feel it walking over me in bed. We've had that as well in our old house. We felt like somebody was pressing down in the bed or walking across, but you'd look up thinking it was one of the cats, but there was nobody there. But you would actually see the bed going down
There you
a
go.
couple of times as well.
Yeah.
And it was just weird, Horses, what a crazy story of a horse I'll give you. My mother was a coming midwife for over 30 years. One night she was called to a home birth. It was a farm off a duck trap. On her way there, my mother pulled over as she heard something coming towards her. It was a horse and carriage that went right through the car. When the lady wanted a home birth for a second, my mother refused. She never went back. So I think that was
you hear that quite a lot, don't you? Horses and carriages, those types of things being seen. So yeah, it's quite there's one story that's quite local to me, actually. Nobody's probably ever heard of it, but there's a stately home, a big hall not far from where I live, called Staunton Harold Hall, and it was home to the Ferrers family in the 18th century. And there was Lord Ferrers shot, I think it was his groomsman, in the drawing room one night. But the physician who attended, he'd had a premonition of that a couple of days previously, and he was on his way home to one of the nearby villages when he stopped to water his own horses, and he saw an apparition of a funeral carriage that was being led by 6 black horses, and it had the Ferrers, the family logo, on the side of the coach and horses. And only he saw it. His driver didn't see it. And he said to his driver, did you just see that? And his driver was like, no, I didn't see anything. And he thought it was a bit strange. And no sooner as he got back home, he was being called to the Ferrers estate, where there'd been a murder. And Lord Ferrers, he was taken down to London, where he was executed. And he actually had his own carriage and horses take him to his execution site. So it was the black carriage and the 6 horses that the doctor had seen days before the murder had taken place, which is a very unusual story, but it's a local legend that we've got around here.
I've never heard that one. One famous one I've heard is Salisbury Hall. There's a horse and carriage been seen many, many times. Some people claim it's actually Anne Boleyn.
Wow.
Is in the carriage. But then Anne Boleyn's reported to haunt several places. Hever Castle, Tower of London, Hampton Court, Salisbury Hall, and I think there's another 2 or 3 on the list. And you think, well, why would she haunt all these different places?
Well, you know what? I think if I was a spirit, especially someone like Anne Boleyn, I wouldn't want to tie myself down to one particular place if I didn't have to. I'd definitely want to be. I would, yeah, absolutely. I'd be roaming around all these amazing palaces, seeing what's changed.
Well, they do say that when we pass, you're free to go anywhere you want, abroad or wherever, So I think,
You'll find me in Bali then, comes, Scott.
Yeah.
You'll find me in Bali then, Scott.
On the beach.
On the beach, wearing something black.
I'll be heading for Graceland for a wee wander around Graceland. I'm a big Elvis fan, so I'll be off to Graceland for a wee free holiday. That's what it'd be like, but it might sound absurd, but you can literally go on holiday anywhere. You pass it. Well, I've never been to Graceland. I've never been in New York. Never been here. I'll do a wee tour, and you just, let's face it, you don't need any airfare or nothing, luggage or nothing, and I think you'll get through customs okay.
I think you might be all right. You'd probably even smuggle some things in if you wanted.
Where would you keep them? But never, you don't answer that question. But
If you're Anne Boleyn, you could probably keep them under all your skirts, couldn't you? But no, I mean,
because they've
this is
got
the
a
thing, though. I mean,
dozen of them or something.
why would you stay in one place, though, if you didn't have to? So
That
this is
that
why
is
I
very,
think,
very true.
yeah,
Same as Mary Queen of Scots, she gets about.
she does, yeah. Famously, Tutbury Castle, which is also not too far from me in Staffordshire, is said to be haunted by Mary, Queen of Scots. And
I
I've
watched.
investigated that place several times. It's an incredible place.
How did you go on with the investigation? Because I watched an MH episode where they went there, and the
Yeah,
woman Leslie Phillips, I
Leslie
think her name
Smith.
was.
Leslie
Leslie
Smith.
Smith,
Yeah.
who dresses up and does the whole
Yeah.
thing.
She,
But they
she
get
actually did
tons of
that for us
evidence that
before.
night.
Yeah.
How did you go on?
Well, we investigated it several times over several years. It was a repeat investigation for us as a team. I think it's one of the HBI favourites, to be perfectly honest, because we did get quite a lot of good evidence there. We saw the infamous blue lights. In fact, I think we got those on camera as well, so they'll be on one of our old evidence videos on YouTube. And we did get some really good EVPs from Tutbury Castle as well. So one of them said, "Balls to you, Tom," which was a man's
Yeah, fair
voice.
enough.
Such a random thing to say. And on another occasion said, "The baby is cold," which is a very eerie thing to have come through as a Class A EVP. But again, they're on the HBI channel. I think if you look at Tutbury Best Evidence, they'll be on that video. So it was an incredible location for us. We did get some really, really good stuff there.
See, a lot of people think, just when you're saying that, Anna, about, you picked all the EVPs and somebody said the baby is cold and balls to you. A lot of people think that, when you do an investigation or a place, it's just one spirit. But I mean, we use Laura's phone or voice recording on our phone, and we've picked up quite a few EVPs at Loudon, where it's quite clear that there's more than one person.
Yes.
They're talking to each other.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got a really, really good example of that happening, actually, Scott. So I don't know if you've ever seen the old Most Haunted episode where they visited a house in Colville, an old stone house. I think they called it the Old House.
I think I've seen, because I was a big fan back in the day, I will admit, way back when it started.
Who wasn't?
So you were a fan as well?
Massively.
Did you buy all the DVDs?
All of them.
Aye, so did I. I bought them
Absolutely loved it. And I've still got them, purely for nostalgia now. But they did an investigation at an old house, which is in Colville, which is very close by to me. And they claimed that there'd been a murder that took place there and that a man had buried his family in the basement and a woman had hanged herself and all of that. It seemingly invented a very dark history around this property. And I've had the opportunity to investigate that several times now. I must have investigated it 20 times over the years. And I did actually get eventually to the bottom of the true story and the true history behind the house with the help of a lovely gentleman and a very brilliant local historian from the area. And it was a bit like piecing a jigsaw puzzle together, but we got there in the end. And we did find that, sadly, a man had unalived himself on the roof of the house in the 1920s. And on one occasion when we were investigating in that property, we got the spirit box going. And we heard a man and a woman come over at the spirit box. And one of them said, "Who are they?" And the woman responded, "I don't know." And it was quite clear that there was a couple who were watching what we were doing and having a conversation about us. And they were talking about us in the spirit world, because where else could that have come from? And the spirit box that we use, it's got the antennas taken off. And we were also using it in, so we couldn't get any radio signals through at all. So we shouldn't have been getting any voices, and we got those two clear as day, talking to each other, not to us.
It's when you get another question I called found that I stick up now. It's we've had that as well. We got that at Loudon. There's a farm near the Kirkyard, but there's ties between the two of them. And so there was been a couple of occasions we've been at Loudon investigating, and I've said, I was up at the house, I was up at the farm, and with a queer EVP saying Scott was up at the farm.
Wow, there you go, you see.
Who you tell?
Amazing, isn't it?
Another place we had Caldwell House. We got an EVP of a woman saying to a man, there was a man talking, but then this woman came in and says, "Shh, they can see us." Obviously, we couldn't see it. We couldn't see them, but it says, "Shh, they can see us."
Yeah.
And I think, well, who's talking? Who did? So they're quite clear that they're talking to each other.
There's definitely an indication that some spirits can see each other, talk to each other, communicate with each other 100%. I've seen evidence of that.
At Loudon, there's 2 or 3 different areas that we always pick up activity. And I've asked the question, my knowledge has never been answered, but I've always wondered, well, are these spirits aware of each other? Do they know that they're there? Do they talk to each other? Like, how you doing or whatever? And I've always asked that question, but I don't think to this day I've ever had a right answer to it, whether, because they could be for different time periods. And I go, well, does that really matter in spirit? If you've got somebody for the 18th century, somebody for the 16th century, does it really matter when we pass over when we're from?
Yeah, I do wonder. I mean, I think that the indications that I've got so far are that where we've encountered spirits talking to each other, or an indication that that's happened, I think there's a suggestion that they knew each other in life.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't yet found anywhere where there's an indication that two spirits from 2 different time periods have been talking to each other. But it's certainly something that still needs to be explored.
And it might never be explained. That's one of the things I find fascinating as well. But I've got a question about these comments up first off. We've had multiple EVPs using their names discussing us between themselves.
Yeah.
Laura's anywhere in the world you could investigate where and why.
Oh wow, that's an incredible question. I think maybe Alcatraz would be an absolutely incredible place to investigate, purely because of the vast history and the dark history that's there, and the numerous reports of paranormal activity at Alcatraz, but also the isolation as well. I think that would just add to the atmosphere and ultimately make for some really great evidence if you did capture anything. So that would definitely be one of my bucket list locations.
That would be on my list as well. Alcatraz in Edinburgh Manor. We've got friends, Kat and Bill Armstrong, Paranormal Exposures. They're based in Iowa. Well, he actually grew up about 1 street away from me, but we didn't know each other, but they work at a place called Edinburgh Manor. It was opened in 1851, and it ended up as a kind of refuge for psychiatric patients. But the amount of we tried to do a live video tour a couple of weeks ago, but just could not get the signal was crap. So what Cat and Will did was they went round, videoed different parts of it and gave a wee bit of history. It's on the page. I'd love to do in there. I've got an EVP from Loudon which says, "Do you want me to show you now?" And another cuts in and says no.
Wow.
So that's always a spirit asking somebody else.
Yeah.
I've been when he claims to have been my husband, and he does have the same name as ex, maybe my ex. Nato spirit has been identified by name, claims to be my husband, and he does have the same name as ex.
Okay.
tiny heavy atmosphere. So just, here's a question for you. I've asked a few people this, right? I've done it in the page months and months ago. When you were saying, that EVPs, same as us, of spirits, that woman, for instance, they can see us. Do you think we're visiting them or are they visiting us? So when that woman, for instance, saw us, did
Yeah.
she see it? Because it was an old abandoned house. So she seen us in the way the house was when she lived there and we're visitors? Or is she seen the abandoned house?
You know what? I think it could possibly be both, depending on the type of haunting that we're dealing with. Because ultimately we just don't know enough about what's out there, do we? And how spirits interact with us or other potentially higher dimensional beings interact with us either. So it could be that it's just a crossover between different times, or it could be that it is spirit that is visiting us.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? I think it's a mix, to be perfectly honest. I don't think there's one answer or one size fits all for that particular question, to be honest. I think it depends on a whole host of environmental factors and what's been going on.
Yeah. I did a show ages ago. We did an investigation at Loudon once, and we got asked. Rosie and Emma Cardy were there for the Ghoul Gang, and we got asked, "Are you ghosts?" A queer EVP, "Are you ghosts?" And so that kind of threw us a wee bit. And I was talking about it on a show, and Eileen came in and started getting all scientific. Now I don't understand the scientific side. I'm as thick as a Caramac bar. You know what I mean? Or a Mars bar, whatever. And it was a multi-layer existence theory again,
Yeah.
and I was totally lost. But Eileen likes to put that wee comment in every now and again because she knows it totally kind of throws me. See, the
Yeah.
Matrix is Laura's at it as well.
Multi-layer existence. There's the other theory as well that all time exists at the same time, ultimately. So you've got past, present, and future that all exist at the same point. That's another theory in physics, isn't it?
Hmm.
And if that is the case, then it could well be that we've just got two overlapping time zones that sometimes, for some bizarre reason, can hear each other and interact a little bit.
It's kind of like it's stuff. Well, there's Laura mentioned the Matrix. It's like stuff you see in movies, but you never imagine it to be actually real.
No, that's
You
right. Well,
know,
it's hard to imagine it to be real, isn't it? I think especially if we're talking more dimensions than what we perceive and what we're used to, it's hard to imagine how that could exist or what that would look like, because we can't. It's beyond our abilities to perceive
because
that.
we're just used to, being here every day, doing what we do, and that's it. You don't think, you do think of the past and the future, but you don't think of them running all at the same time. I think it's hard to think of it because it would drive you nuts.
It is.
You know,
It would. To think that your
charity.
future to some extent is already predetermined as well. It kind of takes a bit of that free will away, doesn't it? But, or does it? Because if you've got free will, does it just create that multi-layer existence again, where depending on what
You
you
see,
choose, it sends you on down several paths? You just don't
it
know, do
does. I
you?
think it's impossible. I liken it to thinking about walking. See, when you walk, have you ever tried to think about what you're doing when you walk?
I think I would probably start walking really strangely if I did that, Scott. I'd be overthinking it and probably fall over.
But you see, I tried it, but I heard that I say it a long, long time ago. Somebody says, try to think about you walking when you're walking. And actually, I'm not stupid. I went out and tried it. you know, didn't
I
work for
think,
me. So I compare it to that kind of
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
Um,
There's just so much we don't know about everything, isn't there? Not just the paranormal, but science, physics. There's new discoveries every day. Things that we once thought were impossible are now possible. If you'd told someone 300 years ago that one day you'll be able to have a little device in the palm of your hand where you can speak to anyone in the world instantaneously, and
You'd
get
be
as
burned
much
at the
information
stake.
as you want in a second. You'd call them a liar or think it was magic, wouldn't you? So
You'd be executed. You'd be hung or burned
you,
at the stake.
you certainly would.
Um,
Yeah, that would have definitely happened to me, Scott, in the 1600s. I don't think I'd have lasted very long at all.
I, I, I think all paranormal investigators, if we were back then, would all have been executed.
Yes, I think
Because as soon
so.
as we mention we talk to the dead, that's it. Bang, you're a witch, you're a
That's
warlock,
it.
or whatever. You're off to the
Absolutely.
stake, kind of thing. You wouldn't
Yeah.
have a chance. Honestly, what's in effect is mind blowing. But to imagine we're the only beings here in this time can't be either be comprehensive nor addressable. I don't think we're the only. I mean, we don't do alien stuff, but people say to me, "Oh, do you believe in aliens?" I do. I believe that there's other life out there.
Yeah.
Some, you know, are the little green reptile men with antennas? Who knows? Do they
Who
look like?
knows? But when you think about the fact that there are more stars out there than there are grains of sand on this earth, and around
And you
those
think that
stars, you've got planets, multiple planets, then, and that's just what we know of and what we can see. There's so much more that we can't see and that we haven't explored or even discovered yet. So, yeah, it's incomprehensible to think that we're alone. We're definitely not alone.
it just goes on and on and on.
It does.
It's
Yeah.
just, I'm going to say, night, I'm shattered and still getting better. Hannah, I'll mail you for info bestie. I'll catch up tomorrow. Thank you for agreeing. You're welcome, dear. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Lovely. Thanks,
Right,
Laura.
so Edinburgh. You see, you done Edinburgh. What did you make of the vaults
Yes.
and stuff? We've done a load. We love Edinburgh.
Yeah,
Um,
so it was a long time ago that I went to the vault, Scott. So we must be talking, oh, crikey, 15, 16 years ago that I investigated the South Bridge vaults. So my memory's a bit hazy, but I do recall being followed around by very heavy footsteps and something touching me on the shoulder. And I think that was all that happened that evening. We were there for about 6.5, 7 hours. So it was a good long investigation because obviously the tunnels they go they go on for for miles, don't they? Ultimately, it's well, it seems like
it's
that
a
when you're
city under the city,
in the
basically,
dark.
and
Yeah, exactly.
a lot of it's sealed off, still sealed off.
That's right. So I've only investigated it once, like I say, for 7 hours, and two interesting things happened to me whilst I was there. So definitely a very interesting and atmospheric place, and the city itself is absolutely incredible. Whilst I haven't investigated Mary King's Close, I have visited there several times, and I'm absolutely fascinated by it and the castle. Just absolutely beautiful.
We've done Edinburgh we've been there hundreds of times, and
Yeah,
it's just the old town. As soon as you get to the Royal Mile, Greyfriars, all that kind of area, it's just like stepping back in time.
oh, it's incredible.
You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. You're lucky to live so close. For me, it's a 6.5 hour drive. So
well, that's it. We're doing a thing in May for CRA Entertainment. We're doing a documentary style in Edinburgh. We tried it a few years back called it Darkest Mile. It was about the places that people don't really know about on the mile. They
yeah,
walk by every day, like the Heart of Midlothian, the Guth Cross, places. Some of the Advocates Close, places like that that
yeah,
they see every day, but they don't really. All right, I wonder why that's called Advocates Close or Canongate, whatever. So we're doing that in May, but just the sheer amount of history, and you can try and imagine what life was like back then. Especially during the time of the plague, and as you say, the vaults, as it's a city under the city, and
yeah.
people were born in the vaults and died in it and never ever came up to the surface.
That's right. And to think
You know,
about how much that city has changed over time. This is another thing that I find so fascinating when I visit a historical site or a historical city, is to think about how much it has changed. So obviously with Edinburgh, you've got where the train station is that used to be. great big expanse of water, which is where everything, all
Mm-hmm.
the, the disgusting things from the city used to flow into
I,
that at
oh,
one
what was it
point.
called? Loch Nor or something
Princess
it was called.
Gardens, isn't it? I think it's called now Princess
I know it's,
Gardens. Yeah,
I know it's Princess Gardens in the railway. Was it a
yeah.
no? What was that called? At the
I
bottom of
think
the
it was called
castle?
the Norlock. I think something. Yeah, I think
No
you're right,
Lock, I
Scott.
think it was called.
I think you're right.
Um,
And to think about that and how the place has changed, it's absolutely incredible. And of course, originally, to think that the castle itself was seated on an extinct volcano. So going back even further, how the place was
I,
even formed in the first place, it's mind blowing to me. I just
I,
I love things like that.
I know Lock.
Yeah, Norlock. Yeah,
That's what it
yeah,
was called. I think it's some vaults are manufactured haunted for commercial gain.
yes,
Many accounts close as tours. I used to go down years ago before it was whitewashed and open to the public. But I mean, as you
yeah,
say, a lot of the city has changed down through the decades, centuries, whatever. But take the vaults, for instance, they've really never changed. You've got Greyfriars Kirkyard, you've got the Covenanters Prison, you've got some parts of the old town that remain how they were.
yeah.
You go into Greyfriars, you've still got quite a big chunk of the Flodden Wall, which a lot of people don't recognise. They don't got a clue what it is or
No,
what it actually means. Um, so Edinburgh is quite modern, but there's bits of Edinburgh that's never ever changed.
that's right. It's like most cities, I think it's just layers upon layers upon layers, isn't it? And sometimes you can't see those layers, but they're definitely still there.
And I find it fascinating when you go to these places and you think of all the people that have walked there before.
Absolutely. One of my favourite stories is about York, from York, when there was a gentleman, I think he was doing some excavations in a cellar, and suddenly he saw Roman legion walk by him. But on
Mm-hmm.
the level that he was working at, he could only see them from the waist up because the level that they were walking on would have been a little bit further
I way
down.
down.
And when they did
It,
further excavations, they actually discovered a Roman road going straight through that basement at the
and you're
level that
still
you would have seen them walking on. Yeah, crazy.
you it's like I don't know if you've been in a tour of London.
I have been to the Tower of London. I've not been lucky enough to investigate the Tower of London. I would love to do that.
Oh, I would
But
love, but I think it's a big no.
no, it's a massive
But
no-no. Most crown properties are, to be honest. There's only a few that I think, are available for investigation, and even then, you have to jump through a few hoops. But yeah,
there's a
Tower of
lot of
London's a
hoops to
definite
get.
no-go. Yeah,
It's,
yeah,
it's, it's when you go there, but I've been there 3 times and you see I call it the ancient graffiti, dating back to Tudor times, Richard so-and-so was here 1530, whatever.
yeah,
And, you think that was scored by an actual guy that was there in the 1500s. And
yeah.
the chances are he was executed because let's face it, most people that went into the tower only came back out one way or for one purpose, and that was to go to Tower Hill or Tyburn.
That's right. Or they didn't come out of the tower at all.
Or they didn't come out of the tower at all. So whoever wrote that, you think, well, they could have died here in the cell or they've been taken up the road to be,
Yeah.
beheaded or whatever. And
Or
I
they could
find
just have
that's
been
fascinating.
brutally executed right there on the grass, which is what happened a lot of times. Is sometimes they would just have judgment passed on them in the cell and then dragged outside and executed.
Straight away.
Yeah,
Even, like, I love a Tower of London. Roman soldiers from waist up. Yeah, I've read that.
yeah.
Can do sneaky wee bit of calling out if you get a chance on your own in some locations. I suppose you could
You
kind of.
can. The problem with that, though, is that you don't know who else is in the building. When it's open during the day, there could literally be anyone there. You could be calling out and hear a scream, but it could just be a 3-year-old running around outside, couldn't
Aye.
it? And that's the problem if you do that during the day, is I wouldn't want to rely on that too much as evidence, sadly.
It would be
Fun,
tempting, but
definitely.
take a wee K2 or something in me and,
You could again, but mobile phones everywhere, people recording.
I would go
It's
nuts,
one of
wouldn't
those, isn't it? Yeah, it
it?
go a little bit crazy.
Even Hampton Court Palace, you've done Hampton Court Palace, you've been there.
I've not investigated it again, but I have visited Hampton Court Palace. What an amazing place.
I found that, and it's mind-boggling that how it was actually built.
Yeah.
Because it was Cardinal Wolsey who, it was his home, he built it. Well, he didn't build it personally, but you know what I mean. You stand and you look at it and you think of the construction, the amount of rooms that are in it and how they actually put it together. But what I found fascinating was, you get the Great Hall and you stand in there and you think, well, I'm a big Tudors fan. I love the Tudor era. And you think, this is where Henry VIII and all his wives, Wolsey, Cromwell,
It's amazing, isn't it?
They all dined in here, sat here, partied here. The great, the haunted gallery. This is where Kathleen Howard ran along.
Yeah.
And you're standing there. Even the archway going into the courtyard, the main courtyard, as I call it. Henry VIII passed under here.
Yeah. And this is the thing, we are so lucky on this island that we call home to have so many wonderful historical places to go and visit and soak all of that up, really, because we've got thousands and thousands of years worth of history still standing, haven't we? And that's something that we're really lucky to have. So when you're talking about places to go and investigate around the world, I mean, Mark's said Alcatraz earlier on, there's a fair few places in the UK that would still make my bucket list as well. And, Tower of London and Hampton Court would definitely be a couple of those places.
Oh, it would be. And there's that many places that people don't actually realise. I mean, we're doing a thing called the Wallace Trail on YouTube, and we're doing with the Society of William Wallace, which is about, we're going to places that people don't know, aren't really familiar, that associated with William Wallace. One is the Stirling Rugby Club, where the Battle of Stirling Bridge took place. Everybody thinks it took place on the Stone Bridge that's here today. That's not the original bridge. The original bridge is about 100 yards. You can still, when the water's low, you can still see the original wooden pillars that held the bridge. But what people don't realise is the actual battle took place where Stirling Rugby Club is now, on their pitch. That's where the actual battle took place, where the English were slaughtered. And I just find that mind-boggling. And we filmed there, and I spoke to one of the guys at the club. He said, listen, mate, we come here every Saturday for years doing our training stuff. And we didn't have a clue that this was actually a battle, with the Battle of Stirling. It's one of the most famous battles in Scotland.
Yeah,
I didn't have a clue that the battle actually took place on this actual bit of ground. I'd love to investigate it. Might actually look into that. I'd love to investigate there.
You should. You totally should. I mean, we've got the battle Bosworth field is not far from where I live as well, and everyone thinks that the battle actually took place in Bosworth, but again, it didn't. It was in another little hamlet just on the outskirts, really. So very similar to Stirling Bridge. Everyone thinks it was one place, but it's not. It's somewhere else. But I think this is the fascinating thing about battles as well. I think sometimes we can't really be 100% sure where they took place at all, because there's hardly any evidence now, is there? I mean, if you look at the Battle of Hastings as well, there's nothing there to say this is where the battle took place.
Really. I know they didn't really draw maps of where the battle took place, but as you say, Battle of Bosworth, Battle of Hastings, Stirling Bridge, Battle of Bannockburn.
Yeah.
For years before I started doing this, when I still drove the trucks, I used to park up at a wee kind of lorry park in Bannockburn, and I just assumed that's where the battle took place, but it wasn't.
Yeah. There you go.
It was a wee way further down the road. There is a visitor centre, and that's where the actual battlefield was. And you're talking maybe a mile and a half from where I parked up. And you think, this is where the battle was. And but it turns out I was totally wrong. My geography was way out. You know what I mean? But it didn't. didn't it take place? It took place away about a mile and a half that way, son. Right, I'll go that way then. Let's go. And it's
Oh
just,
goodness.
the history's all, I say it's always fascinating. I get kicked out of history at school. After second year, I was kind of booted out of history because I had no interest in it, you know.
Yeah.
But
Oh, how times change, Scott.
oh, it does. It does. I've always been interested in the paranormal since I was a
Yeah.
teenager. You know, ghosts and all that kind of stuff. But history, I thought, no, that's pants. I can't be annoyed sitting listening to this guy. And so I ended up third year was a no-no for me. Um, Battlefields are so pungent and eerie, but Culloden is, we've been up to Culloden, and there is quite a, no doubt it's the same down your end as well. There
Yeah.
is a quite a solemn kind of atmosphere, is the best way I can describe it. When you're standing and you think this is where all these people were massacred, basically, you know. But
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I know there's a lot of people with no interest in history. They couldn't give a toss, you know. But you know, we love it. To say, I'm a big Tudors fan. I don't know if you're into Tudors or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm into all history, to be honest with you, Scott. I mean, I specialise probably in local history. That's what I've written my two books on is the two villages that I live near and places that I've lived in or nearby. But absolutely everything historical fascinates me from the word dot all the way through to the present day. So kings and queens, I've always been fascinated by them. And the amount of history that we've got in this country. Like I said, we're very, very lucky to have so many
Mm-hmm.
beautiful castles and palaces, and so much still standing that we can go and explore, really. So, yeah, Tudors, fantastic. We've actually got Braggart Park, again, on our doorstep. So, where I live, we're in the middle of a historical kind of minefield, really. So we've got
Mm-hmm.
Braggart Park, we've got Ashby de la Zouch Castle, we've got Kenilworth Castle, Nottingham Castle, Leicester Castle, and I'm right in the middle of all of those. So I'm very, very lucky. And of course, Braggart Park is famously haunted by Lady Jane Grey, who was beheaded after 9 days on the throne.
At
Such
the
a young girl
9-day
as
queen.
well.
And she was
Um,
only 15, 16.
15, yeah, that's literally all that she was. And funnily enough, we go back to the conversation that we had about horses earlier, because she's said to be ridden through Braggart Park by headless horses. That's one of the local legends associated with Braggart Park, and her ancestral home is in ruins on the park today, but you can go and have a look around it still, which is amazing. So, like I say, very lucky to have all of this history on my doorstep.
You're kind of right in the middle, aren't you?
Right in the middle. I'm 15 minutes away from literally most of these places. Nottingham Castle's about half an hour away. Derby Jail half an hour away. Leicester Castle
That's
half an
that
hour.
that's that's you know, 20, 30 minutes drive. That's really nothing. We I don't know. We're kind of 50-50 here. You know, we've got Loudon Kirk, we've got Ardrossan Castle, Dunure Castle. We've got a couple of old stately homes, which are, you know, long abandoned now that we've investigated. We get quite a few Kirkyards kicking about different places. So we're kind of okay. I'd love to get into. Um, that's what I think Americans are so lucky because you know, you were saying earlier on about Alcatraz, and I'd love to get in a big abandoned prison with. Although you've probably seen the horror films with the asylums as well, with the massive basements,
Yes, yeah.
the long corridors, and maybe the wheelchair or something sitting. I'd love to just go down myself and investigate. But we've got nothing with that here. There's one, but it's all boarded up. It's all fenced off and metal boards in the windows. It's just you can't get into it.
We
I'd
we do
I'd
have
love to
a
do places like that.
we do have a couple of places like that. I think we've got Bronny Garth in Wales, which is an old hospital slash asylum. There's St Catherine's, which I think is still standing in Liverpool, which is an old Victorian asylum. Um, so there are a few places like that that we've got that we can still investigate. Prisons as well. I mean, I think we're quite lucky for some of the old prisons that we've got. We've got Bodmin Jail, for example. We've got Shepton Mallet, Shrewsbury Prison, and I mentioned earlier before Derby Jail, and the Galleries of Justice as well. That's in Nottingham, the National Justice Museum. That's got 1,400 years worth of justice and executions on site
I've got
historically.
them coming on in May. People for the Galleries of Justice.
Yeah.
Shrewsbury Prison, that's where Mark Egerton used to work.
Yes. Yeah. So you've had Mark on this on the podcast a few times, haven't you?
Aye, Mark, he's on a Thursday actually. We've had Mark on quite a few times, Mark.
Yes.
Aye,
Yeah.
Mark's brilliant. You know,
yeah, he is.
I'm assuming you know Mark then.
I don't know Mark personally, but I am familiar with some of his work, and obviously I've watched some of the podcasts as well where you've interviewed Mark.
Aye, look, he's on Thursday because what we're doing, he's been in the paranormal for 50 years.
Yes, yeah.
You know, long time. I'm not saying
Veteran
what
in the
his age is.
paranormal. I think you already said his age on one of your previous podcasts, so I don't think you'd be outing him, Scott, if you did. But yeah, I think he said he'd been in the paranormal since he was 15, didn't he? And yeah, I mean, I would say I've probably been the same. You know, since I was probably 4 years old, I think is when I first started getting interested in the paranormal. But so I haven't racked up as many years as Mark has yet, bless him. But yeah, he's definitely a veteran in the paranormal. There's not much that he doesn't know.
Oh, he is. I talk to Mark quite a lot. You know, you're in between shows as well. He's a member of the Ghost Club, and you know he was trained by Peter Underwood as well.
Yeah.
I trained him up, and Mark has always said to me, in his 50 years, he thinks he's seen an apparition once.
There you go. You see. And I would say something very similar to Mark when it comes to that. And I think I saw one when I was 9 years old. I've seen a partial apparition probably around 12, 13 years ago now. But apparitions are very, very rare indeed. Shadows, you see a fair few of those, but apparitions, not very many. So yeah, 1.5 in 30 years.
Well, that's not too bad, you know. That's not too. I'm kind of 50-50 whether I've seen one. We did one investigations at Loudon Kirk. We were down the back. There's a family burial plot called the Dempster plot, and I was standing, and I looked over to my left, and I thought I saw a little girl with black hair peeking out from behind a tree or bushes or something. But you're talking about, you know, a second or two, and I looked back and it was gone. So you know, I'm not going to say I have seen one because nobody else, everybody else was doing something else. So I was the only one who kind of looked over and but she was gone. You know, that's how quick it was. So I'm kind of
blinking a miss.
Basically that's where I was. I looked over and then I looked out and then I looked back about a second later and she was gone. So I can't say 100%. I've seen them. And you've probably been asked this. A lot of people say to me, have you ever seen a ghost? And you think, well, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
What does a ghost actually look like? You know, is it a white sheet with the eyes cut out, or is it?
Well, that's kind of what we've been trained to look for by the movies, isn't it? We've been trained to look for the little girl in the nightdress or the woman in the nightshirt.
There's that many accounts of people seeing full-bodied figures. They just simply vanish.
Absolutely, there are, and I cannot think of an explanation for the things that I've seen that I refer to as apparitions. So in a sense, if someone said to me, have you seen a ghost? I'd say, I think I have. Yes, I think I have. And the other answer to that question is, I think we've all seen a ghost. This is something that I've been talking a bit about lately, and I even did a video on it for TikTok. Was someone said to me, why don't we ever see ghosts in modern clothes? why do we always see them in Victorian dresses or gentlemen in suits and top hats? And I said, well, you know, I think we do see ghosts in modern clothes. There have been some reports of that, but how would we know? Because if you're walking down the street and you see a man dressed in a modern jacket or a pair of jeans and a hoodie, your first thought isn't going to be, oh, that's a ghost. You're just going to think it's someone walking down the street, unless they then go and vanish through a wall, or vanish in front of your eyes. Then you're going to be thinking, oh my God, that was a ghost. So maybe we've all seen a ghost, Scott. We just don't know it.
There has been Eileen saying, I've seen two, didn't know they were spiritual after the event, as they were as real as you and I. One in a college thought and the other Maid's Head Hotel. And not, you know, that's exactly what we're saying. It could be, you know, I mean, there's a couple of times I've been out and you think you see somebody walking along the path and then you maybe look in your mirror and there's nobody there.
Yeah.
And you question yourself, well, did I see somebody or did I not see somebody? But as you say, Hannah, everybody could have seen a ghost. You know,
how much do we pay attention when we're walking down the street at what everyone else is doing? We just don't.
No, unless they're dressed really unusual or absurd.
Unusually, exactly.
Or they're wearing a bikini or something. A guy's wearing a bikini or something. Then you're going to notice them.
And even then, depending on where you are, I mean, if I was to see a Victorian gentleman with a top hat wandering through the streets of York, I don't think I would think too much of it. I just think they were a ghost tour provider or something like that. But who's to say that they are? I wouldn't turn to my partner and say, did you just see that man? I wouldn't check that. And yet I could very well be looking at a Victorian ghost walking down the street right in front of my very eyes. And I wouldn't question it.
If you were to turn around to your other half and say, you've been there all day, did you see that? Did you see that one? Did you see that
one? Exactly. You reacted every time.
There's the bank. Armlowski. That's Rigger from Spig, Scotland, Paranormal Investigation. He was actually my best man at my wedding. He's from Glasgow as well, funnily enough. We've done a lot with him. She's looked them up, called Spig. You must be a ghost then, Scott, because you're always wearing a bikini. He thinks he's a comedian, Hannah. He's really not, you know.
I think I'm going to need some proof of that.
Well, just look at his photos. Just look at some of his photos. No, he's a really nice guy. Eileen knows him as well. See, he was my best man, you know.
Oh, lovely.
And, he done an all right job. We're going to see him this week at some point because the schools are off up here for the Easter 2 weeks.
Yes, same here. Yeah.
I was talking to somebody the other day when we were at schools, like 2 days. You get the Friday and Monday, and the news like 2 whole weeks you get for the Easter bunny.
It's lucky, isn't it?
But as I say, you don't know if you're seeing a ghost or not. You know,
most of the time, no.
People have asked me, have you seen one? I said, well, I can't. How do you know if you're a paranormal investigator? I said, because I don't know what a ghost looks like. And people think you're nuts. Well, you're not very good, are you? I said, well, you tell me what a ghost looks like.
Exactly.
And they can't answer it.
Exactly. And that there's so many other things that play into it as well, isn't there? Psychological and, you know, your eyes playing tricks on you because sometimes it does. Your brain likes to fill in the gaps because it does that a lot. And there's no controlling that. But yeah, how can you really be sure that what you're seeing is a ghost? You can't.
Exactly. You hear some guess I'll need to be making dinner then because you're always wanting fed. If you learn to cook first, then it's like, I mean, I think everybody's had an experience at some. I know all your team have different experiences. You yourself, Rigger, Eileen, you know, and you try to explain them away. There are, as we were saying earlier on about these folk coming in and they're only interested in using everything's paranormal to them.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Everything. Somebody farts and it's paranormal, but
yeah, ridiculous.
You need to take that step back. But I mean, I've been in play. There's a castle up down Lockdown Castle, it's called. It's beside Lockdown, funnily enough. But I was down there one day with Sarah and the wee one, and I was going around the castle taking photographs. And it kind of long grass, so I was standing facing the castle, and I heard somebody walking behind me, and I actually moved and says, you know, sorry, because I thought I was on the road. I thought I was in the way and I turned around. There was nobody there.
Wow.
But I did turn around and say, oh, right, sorry. And, but you could hear the footsteps coming through the grass.
Yeah.
And people might think, no, you're nuts, you're talking crap. But no, I turned around and said, oh, sorry, mate. And I just heard that I definitely heard something. I no doubt that's happened to you. I mean. But I'm watching the time, that's an hour and a half we've been on. No. And we've not even looked at half of the stuff you do, but I want to bring you back on. But before we wind it up the new, you're quite fond of a wee song.
I am.
You like your singing?
I do. That's my other moonlighting activity, Scott, when I have time. So yeah. Do you like to belt one out of a weekend?
We're not talking karaoke here, folks, you know. A couple of shandies, a few glasses of wine, and let's go up and sing Hi Ho Silver Lining or something like that, you know.
Yeah, probably need something to warm me up.
Hannah is really no this time. Hannah and I have already discussed this, Rigger. So don't you jump on the banana boat. All right, it shall be explained to you at a future date when I'm
Scott
ready.
to ease me in gently, Rigger. On this occasion, I'm being eased in gently.
This already has been discussed, Rigger, my good man. So one shall just have to be patient. All right. That's how I tell. I love it being my show because I can tell folk what I want. No, not me. But I'm going to wind it up there, the new Hannah. But I'm going to bring you back in the next couple of weeks if that's all right.
Yeah, that'd be great, Scott. It's been lovely chatting with you tonight and meeting everyone as well. So thank you very much for inviting me on for a chat.
Yeah. Thanks for the chat. Nice to meet you, Hannah. You've always seen Hannah. But I'm going to hold on. You just have to come off for a wee minute, a wee second or two. So where can people find you?
You can find me on TikTok at Hannah's Haunts, and I will be starting my own YouTube channel soon as well, talking about all things paranormal. So probably some paranormal storytelling. That's also at Hannah's Haunts. Or you can find me on Facebook, Hannah Richards. I have a page for my books as well, so you can follow me on there too.
But definitely jump over to YouTube, TikTok channel, folks, because all our videos are really good.
Thank you.
Rob, cool. Thanks very much, Rob. Thanks for coming in.
Lovely Rob, fellow member of HBI there, Rob and Lynn.
There was a lady in as well.
Yeah. Was it Lynn? Yeah. Lynn Cowell. Yeah. Or Gemma.
Lynn.
There we go. Lynn. Yes. Yeah. My fellow investigators, lovely people. They are.
Night Island, Rigger, I follow you on TikTok and your videos are interesting. There you go.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No, you will be seeing Hannah very, very shortly because we've got loads more to discuss. And I actually made a couple of notes that I never get round to. I very rarely write anything down, Hannah, as people tell you. I've always got a pen. And people have said to me in the past, but I never see you writing anything. So that's because I don't. It's just something to,
something to fiddle with.
Aye. But I actually did take a couple of wee notes, which I like. I can cover in the next episode, shall we say. All right, so I'll hold on here for a wee second. So a big thanks to Hannah for coming in and everybody in the chat and your questions, your comments, all much appreciated. I'm back Thursday night when we will have Mark Egerton on. We were doing Hannah with Mark. It's because he's been the paranormal so long. Him and I decided, well, we're going to look at his career in the paranormal. How he started out. So, and his writing, how he got into the writing, and because he's a tour guide and he's everything. So Thursday's kind of the next chapter in his life. So we have him, but you will see this lovely lady again and again. Trust me, folks. So we'll say good night just now and enjoy the rest of your evening. Not there's much left there, but you know what I mean.
Thanks very much, everyone. And thanks for having me yet again, Scott. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Just don't disappear on me. Because some of your guests, when you say goodnight, they just kind of bugger off. You know, they disappear. Yeah. All right, they're gone. So, right, night, folks. Thanks for coming in.